What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to this video, which I hope is gonna give me some insight into what Canadians are thinking right now about how hostile the United States is acting. And I mean, there's been the whole Venezuela thing, and now this insane Greenland thing that's happening right now, where, I mean, if you've heard, there are now other countries, like in Europe, that are literally sending their troops to Greenland to defend it against us, to defend it against the United States. I mean, that is unbelievable for me to think about as an American. That's unbelievable to say, to acknowledge that this is real life and that we are the ones causing all of this. And I don't know. So today, I just really want to take a look at this video and learn more about Canada's perspective on this whole situation. So let's take a look.
So with the capture of Nicolas Maduro and the talk of Trump trying to take over Greenland, plus all those 51st state threats last year,
I think Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state.
Man, that is so crazy to look back on, because, like, when I think about it, when Trump first started saying that stupid stuff about Canada should be the 51st state, a lot of Americans first and foremost thought it was just like the typical nonsense, just whatever, like Trump saying outrageous stuff. And then, contrast that with now, and the context of everything that's going on is that is not funny, like, in the slightest. Like, it's become very clear that, like, that is a much more genuine threat than at least a lot of Americans ever thought. But now, particularly I think with the threats against Greenland, and we should, Trump saying, like, one way or another, we're going to make Greenland part of the United States. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Literal quotes that he has said. Just thinking about that, and now thinking back to, like, all the stuff he said about Canada and wanting Canada to become part of the U.S., it's terrifying. It's, as an American, looking at this, it's terrifying. And I think more Americans should acknowledge the reality of this whole situation as well.
that suddenly propelled the question, is Canada under threat from the US? Well, not exactly, but many of the experts we spoke to are increasingly concerned by the moves from the Trump administration.
Yeah. It's time to be concerned, to say the least. I think what really has, really got me worked up, particularly today, is the recent news about there are several European countries that are all part of NATO, just like the United States, that are having to send their military personnel to Greenland just to put up, just to send a message and be like, hey, US, you can't do this. And I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that this isn't more of a discussion or more outrage here in the United States. I have to say, here in the United States, you would never know that we are on the brink of causing, a war, or, God forbid, World War III. What? Thinking that we are owed Greenland, or that it's for our national security, or Trump thinks, we deserve it or something. That's I mean, if you want to make comparisons, Russia thinks they are owed Ukraine, that it should belong to them. And now we're like, is it all that different? Now we're like, I think we deserve Greenland. That should be part of like, you can't help but like draw those comparisons.
In the last 2 weeks, there's been another shift, another fundamental shift that suggests that the world is even more dangerous now for Canada than it was before.
Now, those concerns stem from a statement from the White House on Tuesday, saying that the US wants to acquire Greenland for security reasons and is discussing a range of options, including utilizing the US military.
Outrageous. Unbelievable. I think a lot of us Americans are still in denial about this, while a lot of the rest of the world is taking it at face value and correctly taking it very seriously. And now, like, going into action, sending military, like, yeah. And I know that the U.S. even tried to offer Greenland money to, like, buy it out. And they said no. They have now had ample opportunities. Like, if they wanted to become part of the U.S., they have had ample opportunity to express that. And they have said the opposite. As a matter of fact, there was just that meeting that just happened at the White House between Trump and some representatives from Denmark and Greenland. And from what I understand, nothing really became of that meeting. Like, Trump left still wanting Greenland, and Greenland left the meeting still wanting to be Greenland. Everyone still kind of holds the same positions. Nothing too productive really happened as far as I'm aware of. So that's really unfortunate.
Thomas Homer-Dixon, executive director at the Cascade Institute, says Canada should be prepared for possible military coercion from the United States.
The Trump administration might try to use some kind of explicit or implicit military coercion against us, either in the Arctic or with respect to some of the boundaries, Canadian boundaries, which President Trump has already declared he doesn't think are legally valid.
Oh my God. Did he say that? Did he say that? That he doesn't think Canadian borders are legally valid? That's, again, as an American, I'm here in the U.S. We're the ones doing all this crazy stuff, and I am outraged by that. So I can't even imagine what Canadians think of all this. Just, it's pretty crazy. And if we do... Geez, in some crazy world where the Greenland, we invade Greenland. Okay, geez. In that crazy world, we would actually, like, the U.S. with Greenland, the mainland U.S., Alaska, like, we would actually kind of, like, surround Canada a little bit. Might be, like, a bit uncomfortable for you. And then... oh my God, it's so crazy that we're even talking about this, to be perfectly honest.
He says the fact that the Trump administration has been so explicit about possible military intervention in Greenland, it's really set the tone for Canada.
In a sense, the threat of the use of military force, the exercise of military coercion, has already been undertaken. It's already part of the game.
Absolutely, that's a really good point. Part of me thinks Trump might be doing all this because he has the image of being unpredictable and crazy and following through with things. So I think there's a chance he's just trying to make it look like we are going to invade Greenland to coerce Greenland into selling its territory to us, or we're trying to scare the crap out of them, or... some part of me still can't wrap my head around that we would ever attack our allies. I mean, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, wouldn't recognize the United States anymore if we attacked Greenland with, like, planes and guns and bullets and killed people, Like, it's horrifying to even think about.
But other experts suggest that the possibility of a military threat is unlikely. But that doesn't mean Canada won't face other threats from the US. A recent report from the political risk firm, the Eurasia Group, suggests that the US political revolution led by Donald Trump is the top risk facing the world in 2026.
Wow.
In at number 3, something mentioned in the US administration's national security strategy, a term Donald Trump has coined the Monroe Doctrine. It's a reinterpretation of the 19th century Monroe Doctrine and suggests the US will use a mix of military pressure, economic coercion to assert dominance in the Western Hemisphere.
Jeez. What is this world we're living in? Yeah, so clearly, from what I'm seeing here, is the answer to my question, sorta, what Canadians are thinking about, or you're thinking about this a lot, and you're being extremely realistic, you're being extremely cautious, and honestly, being more thoughtful and realistic than I think a lot of Americans are. Like, I think a lot of Americans are really embarrassingly don't know a lot about what's going on that the US is currently doing, or don't want to know, to be quite frank. Or there's certain parts of the US population who would just agree with anything Trump does, no matter what it is, and some people who voted him in who are now mad at him and don't like what he's doing, and yeah, and the people who, of course, like never liked him, and yeah.
It's all happening at the same time, so it's I think tempting, and I think certain logic dictates that the administration is viewing the continent as a whole. But I do think really the national security strategy is really thinking about everything south of the United States. What it means for Canada, there's a whole bunch of implications.
That's Christopher Hernandez-Roy, Deputy Director at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. He says the US focus on the South, including its intervention in Venezuela, will have second-hand implications for Canada.
Canada is an important pillar of the multilateral architecture in the Western Hemisphere, particularly through the Organization of American States, which is, I don't think anywhere in the calculation of the Trump administration, all of these actions are unilateral. So
Canada, it has some involvement in the Organization of the States, or I didn't catch exactly what that means, but I think in general, like he's saying Canada is extremely important and therefore Trump would like to have it. That's pretty much the rationale. I mean, the official explanation from the government is we need Greenland for our protection. We need to own it so that we can defend it, We need to conquer you for your own good. We got to take you over to save you, right? We're going to save you and us and the world, even though we literally have agreements with Greenland where we can establish military presence in Greenland. They're our ally. We could talk to them. We could collaborate with Europe and NATO and establish defense in Greenland. We don't. Is anybody buying that we have to attack it and own it to do any of this stuff and to be a force for good? Yeah, oh my God. Well, it just so happens Greenland has a lot of very valuable resources, minerals, and if we own Greenland, we happen to own all that, which that's an interesting coincidence.
That diminishes the multilateral architecture, that diminishes the rule-based order that prevails, until recently, that prevails in the hemisphere, things that Canada values.
As for Trump's statements about wanting Greenland for national security reasons, Hernandez-Roy says it does raise a threat to Canada's Arctic sovereignty.
It raised...
I mean, on that, it's like, where does it end? At that, like, can we just say, oh, if we take Greenland for our national security, and that's the reason, where does it end? Oh, we need Canada for our national security. We need France for our national security. Is that just the rationale for us taking anything we want? Oh, it's for our security. We have to do what's best for just at least admit it, that you just want to own that territory and take it over. What is this like? It's a joke, to be honest. Like, the logic is so ridiculous, and yeah, I'm not buying it.
Raises possibilities that I think Canada is not currently equipped to deal with. And it raises the specter of the US wanting to patrol the Canadian Arctic for the same reasons that it is saying it needs to have Greenland to keep the Russian and Chinese ships away. It
Yeah.
might just be that much more tempting
Yep.
for the United States to assume on Canada's behalf, perhaps, more patrolling of the Canadian Arctic because Canada's infrastructure is just so thin, at least at the present.
I would caution against kind of the
Yeah, that's essentially what I was thinking. Like, if we take Greenland, God forbid, and if you've watched any of the interviews of people in Greenland, like, they're not happy about any of this, by the way. Like, I assumed as much, and I've seen some interviews, and people in Greenland are not happy. I think at least 85% of the population is very opposed to what the U.S. is doing, and so, yeah. If we took Greenland, it's like, what, by the same rationale, what, we have to take the Arctic, Canada's Arctic regions as well? Like, you got, again, it's what I was saying. It's like, where does it end then? Like, I truly wouldn't even recognize the U.S. at that point.
belief that there's imminent risk for any U.S. military action towards Canada.
For Imran Bayoumi, a security and strategy expert at the Atlantic Council, he says that this means Canada needs to continue to step up its Arctic presence, something that Prime Minister Mark Carney has commitments to do.
The U.S. wants its allies to take on more, and it's going to call for Canada to have a bigger Arctic presence. It's in Canada's best interest that it works with the U.S. in the Arctic, and then
Sure. Key word, work with. Work with. Not be conquered by. Not attacked by. Work with. That's how it should work now.
it's also in Greenland's best interest that Denmark works with the U.S. in the Arctic. So a cooperative approach rather than one based on threats of annexation would set all three countries up for greater success.
Unfortunately, for
Sure.
Canada and Denmark, a cooperative approach doesn't appear to be in the Trump administration's DNA.
I really don't know what is about to happen. From the bottom of my heart, I really don't. I thought I used to have a grasp on, like, where the line was for Trump. And it feels like in this second term of his, the line is just gone. You just truly don't know what's talk and what's real. It's scary. This is Trump's last term. So he is certainly thinking, well, I don't have to be popular because I don't have to worry about being reelected. I don't have to worry about running for president again. This is the last hurrah. This is my last chance. So I might as well do whatever the hell I want. That's got to be a thought in his mind, or so for a variety of reasons that I'm just expressing, like, I truly don't know what's going to happen. I'm pretty shocked that we've taken it this far, to be perfectly honest, with the threats against Greenland. Even if we completely pulled back everything right now and said, oh, we're sorry, we didn't mean, like, it wouldn't matter. It's like we've gone too far already. It's outrageous. Just, God forbid anything else further happens. But it only seems to be kind of escalating as time goes on. Right? As 2025 is over, 2026 has begun. Venezuela, Greenland, EU forces in Greenland now. Like, it's just escalating. It's not calming down. So who knows? But it was actually very valuable and very interesting to hear, like, what Canadians are thinking about this, Canada's perspective on this, and your very, very valid criticisms and concerns were eye-opening to me as well. So this was good. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on, everything that's happening in this crazy world of ours. That'd be interesting, especially if you're Canadian. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canadian things that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.